Hi everyone, welcome back to Vibrationss. My name is Yiyi and I am your favorite drag queen's least favorite drag queen. And I'm here drinking my Mountain Valley spring water, which is in a glass because we need to get rid of these microplastics. What is going on with the world? What is going on? We are so, what is it called? We are just filled with plastic, and I'm not just talking about the girls getting the plastic surgeries. No, everyone is getting plastic now. And it's coming from the water, it's coming from the air. We're screwed. I'm sorry, but I don't know how to reverse this. I don't know how we're going to get back from this, but at this point, you know what? Just get the boobs that you want. Get the plastic surgery that you want. Put plastic in your body. It's going to be there anyway, so yeah. Anyways, how are you? I'm doing great. Today I'm going to give some advice out because I kind of want to transition this podcast into more of an advice podcast, which is really what I always really wanted to do, but I don't really have any questions that people send me. And so I'm going to go on Reddit and I'm going to find some people desperate for my input and for my advice. And I went to, let me see, where did I go? I went to the advice Reddit page. So I guess let's get started with the first one. The first question, and it's not a question, but the person who submitted this on Reddit, I don't know if should I say their name? I don't know if I should. Maybe. I guess their name is Hawk Row Dancer J. That's who this person is, and they're struggling. It says struggling to balance work and personal life after a promotion. All right, so I'm gonna read to you their issue that they're having, and then I'll give my advice. So this person says, I could really use some advice on balancing work and life. I recently got promoted, which is great, but it came with way more responsibilities than I expected. My workload has basically doubled, and I feel like I'm constantly trying to keep up. Even when I'm technically off, I find myself checking emails, thinking about work, or just feeling too drained to enjoy my free time. Before this, I had a good routine, regular workouts, seeing friends, and just relaxing in the evenings. Now I'm either too tired or feel guilty for not using my time to get ahead. I even took a short trip recently since I finally had the means to do so, thinking it would help me reset, but the whole time I couldn't shake the feeling that I should be working. How do people actually balance things when their job becomes this demanding? I know setting boundaries is important, but what do you do when work keeps creeping into your personal life no matter what? Also, how do you feel with the guilt? How do you deal with the guilt of not always being productive? Would love to hear from anyone who's figured this out, because right now I feel like I'm running on fumes. And it sounds like you're running on fumes. It sounds like it. And okay, so here's what I have to say. First of all, yes, your promotions will I mean, it's a no-brainer that if you get a promotion, you're gonna be doing more work, right? So if you want a promotion, you gotta think about that. You can't just be like, well, I want a promotion because I want more money, and that's great, but you should think about what that entails, right? That money is gonna come from more responsibilities, like you said, and now you're finding out. So I don't know what you thought before this. I don't know if that is something that you thought about, but you should have definitely thought about that before accepting the promotion. There's a lot of people, I mean, especially nowadays, I feel like the Gen Z, there's a lot of Gen Z that, they want the money. And not really just Gen Z, but I guess just a lot of people in general. They want the money, they want to get paid without actually having the responsibilities that you are required to have to get that sort of payment, right? So yeah, one thing I recommend is if you guys are looking for promotions out there at your jobs, please think about what that's going to look like, because it's going to it's it's going to have more responsibilities. And if you really want that and you're up for that, then do it. But if you feel like you're already struggling and you already don't have the time that you want and that you need, then do you really want the promotion? Are you really ready for it? Just think about it, right? Okay, so that's one thing. You actually asked how people balance it. I don't think most people balance it, to be honest. I don't think most people balance their lives. I think that's why we have so many. That's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons why there's so many people who are going through mental health issues, who can't keep their marriages together, who struggle to raise their kids. I think most people don't balance this. They don't know how to balance their work life and their profession, or their work life and their personal life. I think you mentioned something about I'm talking to this person like they're listening. This person mentioned something about boundaries, and that's important. Well, it is. Boundaries are important, and that can help you for sure. I think that's also one of the things that people struggle with, and why they feel so overwhelmed is because the lack of boundaries are not in place. If your job is reaching out to you outside of the work hours, that's a boundary that you should definitely think of enforcing, and talking to your to your higher ups or whoever's in charge of that, and telling them, well, I'm available from this hour to this hour, and then once I go home, that's strictly for my family and for myself. So I think those boundaries are important, if you're struggling with that, and don't be afraid to enforce them. Sometimes it is a difficult conversation to have, because you don't want your boss to feel like you don't care about the job, or that you're being dismissive. And maybe some of them will feel that way. You can't control how another person feels, but you can control what you say and how you say it. So just make sure you reiterate the fact that why you're placing these boundaries, like why are you only available from this hour to this hour, right? Because that way they can understand you. Like, the more communication you have, the better. That has been my experience in my jobs. The more, and I've gone through similar things where if you don't communicate, then the other person is just sort of they are assuming a lot of things that are not true, right? So if you don't communicate this to your boss, they're probably assuming like, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work, they don't care about their job. But it's like, at some point you do have to set those boundaries, and that's important. Okay, so now I think but to me, like, this is all so relatable to a lot of people, I think. And to be honest, like I said earlier, I don't think most people balance it. It's super hard, right? And most of us are not successful at that. But to get to the root of the issue, and I think the root of the issue for a lot of people, not just you, who you're listening, Mr. or Mrs. Hawk, is the fact that we, as a society, as a community, we place a lot of our value in our jobs. If you think about it, when somebody asks you, like, if someone were to ask you, tell me about yourself, one of the first things, if not the first thing you would do, is say what you do for work, right? That has become as a it has become a part of how we see ourselves as a person, how we value ourselves as a person. And I think I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's healthy. I think it's good to be proud of what you do. I think it's good to have a sense of pride in what you do, right? If you're successful and whatever job you do, I think you should definitely feel like this is something that you like to do. This is something that's important to you, right? But when it becomes something that determines your value as a person, I think that's when it becomes toxic, and it derails your sense of value. Because a lot of people are going through it. A lot of people are going through the same thing, that where they I mean, in this issue, this person mentions how they feel guilt for not using their free time to get ahead, which means that guilt is sort of telling you like you're doing something wrong. It's like, and that's the deeper issue, that you value yourself by the work that you do. And I'm going to tell you right now, the way to get rid of that guilt is to not value yourself by what you do. You have to remind yourself that you are more than your job. And to the Christians out there, obviously, as a Christian myself, I value myself by the way that God sees me, by what the Bible says that I am and who I am and my value. And that's how I get that's how I see myself, right? And but I think, if you don't have those same beliefs, you need to stop. You just need to remind yourself that you are not your job. Your job is not you. It is not it doesn't determine your value. You need to find your value in other things, and the things that really you can't really measure. It's about how you treat people. Like, that's very valuable. That's what people will remember about you. It's the way that the time that you spend with certain people, or just the time that you just being in the present with someone, right? Just having that sense of, I'm here with this person, and being aware of where you are, and not, having your mind distracted, or, just ignoring the people around you when they're trying to connect with you. Those sort of things, that's what's really valuable, I think. And that's what people will remember. Like, to take this even further, when you are on your deathbed, like, that's what people will remember about you. That's what people will that's what they will miss about you. They're not going to miss the fact that you were good at your job. They're not going to miss the fact that you made so much money. No, they're going to remember and miss the things that, how you made them feel, how you treated them, your own values, how you saw the world, how you made them laugh. These things are what matter. And valuing yourself by those measures, I think it's a much healthier headspace, and it will help you deal with this guilt for sure. I think that gets to more of the root, because you can do the boundary thing. You can enforce those. You can do the balancing, your time and your work and your time, your free time. You can do all of that, and that's going to help you. But in order for you to really ground yourself and get rid of that guilt and really start working from the root, it's going to be that issue of your self-worth. And so, yeah, I think that sums up my thoughts on that and my advice, and hopefully that helped. So yeah, All right, so next it's time to queen out. And you know that this is the segment where I talk about anything drag related. Because yes, I am a drag queen, you probably can't see it because this is not a visual podcast, but for you guys that know, you know. And again, I went on Reddit for this segment because I thought this was interesting what this person wrote. And this is the RuPaul's Drag Race Reddit. And this person's name is opposite_bridge9211. And their comments, I guess I'll read their comments so that way you get the whole context of what I'm talking about. It says the headline is I like that the season 17 cast is not good at Drag Race. And I haven't been watching season 17, so I don't really know specifically what they're talking about, but I kind of get the gist. Okay, so here it is. Title might seem a bit weird, but let me explain. Season 15 and season 16 for me had an overall narrative of every queen is really strong and we really are splitting hairs, which I don't really agree with that. Well, for the end, yeah, I do agree with that. And it says, not for every challenge or every queen, but the general vibe of the cast and judging. But for this season, it really feels like half the cast isn't prepared and not doing well, and it's so entertaining. I'm a messy bitch, but queens hyping themselves up for doing mediocre to bad is so just peak television. I don't agree with this comment at all. I don't agree. And if you disagree, please comment down below. Let me know. For those of you that are listening on YouTube. Yeah, this is, to me, one of the issues. Not the issues, but it's sort of the, what's it called? It's the, not the antidote. It's the results of the low quality that we're getting of the show, right? How other seasons or the older seasons are filled with more quality moments, more quality queens, more quality talent, and for the viewers to be entertained by queens just being delusional and being mediocre, like that says a lot about the show and how bad it's gotten, right? And that could be the I don't know. I guess that's part of the production's fault for letting it come to this, to where you're trying to entertain people by putting people on television that are just mediocre. Like, how is that good? How are you entertained by queens doing mediocre? Like, how is that entertaining? That is not entertaining. That is not peak television. Peak television is seeing the queens who have talent succeed and really make their mark on the show. That is peak television. This thing where people are just entertained by anything, it's just not it. It's not it. Like, if you really want to be entertained, wouldn't you want to see talented people doing talented things? I don't get it. I don't get why you're entertained by that. That's delusional for me. It is. It's giving I don't know much about talent, and I don't really know what talented people are, because I'm just entertained with people doing horrible. And I feel bad. I feel bad that that's what it's become, and I feel bad for this person that they're entertained by that. It's just not something an opinion that I share at all. And let me know if you guys agree. I think I think I know where they're coming from, in a way, because most of the show has become that. It's become queens doing mediocre at everything. I'm sorry, but the queens that they cast on the show are not ready for the comedy challenges. They're not ready for the sewing challenges most of the time. So they're just ready for reality television, pretty much. And a lot of the reality television aspect is better than the actual talent. So when you hear, when the queens on the show are acting more like reality TV stars, then they're acting like talented queens. And that is unfortunate because the expectations for these queens it's been so degraded. It's been lowered so much that they're now just, going on there and without any performance experience. So some queens who haven't even performed, and they go on there and they're expecting to do good. Like, how is that? How have we gotten here? Which is, what, I don't know, because now I think about Tatiana, and she barely had any experience, right? She had any experience performing, and that was season 2. So I guess it's always been like that, maybe, but the queens that they cast in the past had more years, had a couple years doing drag. They had some more experience, and it wasn't like half the cast was just full of these people. It was like maybe 1 or 2 queens here and there they cast who were, a little unprepared, had not that much experience, but most of the cast was these staples in the drag scenes, in their own drag scenes. So yeah, and I get that drag and drag race are 2 different things. Like, you can be good at drag and be really bad at drag race. That is something that can happen. Like, not everybody is going to be good at both. And you see that a lot, actually. So good luck to this person. I mean, I guess good for them if they're enjoying the show. I just can't enjoy the same level of television. I'm sorry, but I require a little bit more talent to be entertained. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Anyways, I think that is it for today. Those are the top comments that I wanted, or those are the things that I wanted to go over on this episode. So if you have any questions, if you disagree, agree, please comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And if you have any advice that you need, because let me tell you, outside of, in my real life, a lot of my friends come to me for advice because I have a level head. I'm able to see things. I'm not delusional. And I feel like I have common sense. And so I see through a lot of the bullshit. So anyways, thanks so much for listening. And I will see you next time on Vibrationss. Bye.